Welcome to Friday Takeaway. I'm Khoo, Chuang as usual with Nadia, Hassan.
Yo.
It's Friday, thankfully.
Yeah, exactly. And we're actually bringing you a little bit earlier, so that you can digest all of this, take it away, and essentially...
And trade for another 3 hours.
Exactly,
or 4 hours.
exactly. Right. Just to see how it goes.
That's right. So let's start with the Trump. He's clinched the official GOP nomination, which is scary because he might be the next POTUS,
yes,
which is the President of the United States of America.
Yeah, so basically, we've known for a while that he's going to be the Republican candidate, and he's going to go up most likely against Hillary. But it's scary to see the words...
Are you on first name basis?
Official. Yeah, I'm going to join her on her Facebook too. Official.
That's right.
Know? And his already his opening speech after he clinched this makes him sound like a complete arse.
Yes, he is a complete arse.
Yeah, because he says Hillary can't close the deal, Obama is right that I should rattle people, and by the way, I'm still not telling you how much I'm paying in my taxes.
So the whole world, bar the Americans, need to be very, very worried. Okay, the other item we've also got is the fact that Alibaba, the Chinese e-commerce giant, is under SEC probe, which doesn't mean squat because everybody gets probed once in a while.
So here's my thing, but although you say everybody gets probed once in a while, wouldn't you be worried if somebody came to you and said, I want to probe you?
Randomly
with and no lube. It's
but
very scary.
7% was the decline on the share price to $76.
Yeah.
Not sure why. I think it's because of the fact that they've had, in terms of violating accounting practices, allegedly. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out.
Yeah.
More importantly for us in Malaysia, at least, is because the EPF has reported a 36% decline in investment income for the first quarter. That's not surprising because January had a huge fallout on global markets. Oil was in the 30s. The issue we've got to consider is whether that's going to be the rest of the year or not.
Yeah,
clearly,
and the EPF CEO, I don't know whether he's managing expectations. He's saying that, look, it's going to be a bleak 2016. So all that means is they can't keep doing that almost amazing kind of growth. You know, it's amazing year after year. EPF seems to kind of deliver. But what did they have to sacrifice to ensure that that happens? More equities in your portfolio? Is that what you should do if you're risk averse?
Well, the last 2 or 3 years have been good for equities, not because of earnings, but because of monetary easing, right?
Yeah.
And if the risk-off environment is to be believed, then I think the EPF has got a big repositioning effort out of the 41% allocation to equities as we speak.
Scary.
So, exactly. Let's move on to some hot stocks and themes which grabbed our attention during the week, and are very related to the EPF investment income scenario because oil and gas sector bombed across the board. Petronas saw a 71% drop in net profit to 2.7 billion ringgit. UMW Oil and Gas also down 16% on the shares, but the profits also had continued losses. Not good at all for the sector. Yeah,
we pick out UMW Oil and Gas, but it was a story for everybody, including the smaller guys. Ala Maritime, you're looking at Baraka as well. Oh, massive! It just looks so bad. But here's the thing. This kind of stuff, right? It's this quarter, yes, but oil prices have gone up. In fact, they hit 50. You know, they managed to hit 50, strongest that it's seen in so many positions. So will the next quarter then show the miraculous turnaround? Yeah.
I think you're right. $50 is where it is right now. Canadian supply issues disrupting
massive
the market.
fire. Yeah.
Whether that's going to last for the rest of the year again is open to moot, but we'll have to watch and see whether the oil and gas sector is going to be sustainable at this level. The second thing, Nadia, and you'll know this quite well, AirAsia X had a blowout quarter. They did a really good fourth quarter, and then they continued their momentum into the first quarter. Fantastic. Their shares are up 115% year to date. Amazing.
Yeah. Just to declare, I do have some shares in AirAsia X, but looking at it purely from like looking at it from a purely great point of view, yes, it's never been up to the price of the IPO, which was 125, but you did see 40 cents. It was a great kind of boost because they had strong returns from China and Australia. My worry is, in reverse to what you saw with the oil and gas quarter 4, quarter 1, typically really good for airlines.
Festive seasons, right?
Exactly.
Raya,
everybody is
Chinese
going.
New Year, Christmas.
Yeah. So the thing is, the second quarter typically has no anchor holidays. There are no long stretches, although we are going into, it's going into school holidays now? School holidays now, but usually you don't have long stretches. And Ramadan means week traveling. So that means all this good fortune you see, it's going to be gone in the second quarter.
Maybe we'll see the bounce in AirAsia Berhad because that's where the domestic, because everybody's now, chuti Malaysia, right? But AirAsia X is the international, long haul. Be it low cost. So
yeah, but so I think people who are enthusiastic on this, you have to remember the second quarter isn't going to be great, and it's actually not their fault.
Correct.
It's not their fault.
China and Australia markets led demand, but RASK, which is the revenue per available seat kilometre, you'll know this metric quite well as well, up 17% year on year. Again, for like all the other earnings we're looking at, is really how sustainable it is over the long term.
But speaking of interesting earnings, Banks also caught my eye this week.
Correct. Alliance Financial reported, CIMB reported some developments on Air Malaysian, but as where Alliance Financial was concerned, they saw a 20% bounce in SME loans. That's amazing, right? Whether or not that's come off a low base, open to moot again, but that's a nice little sector they've carved for themselves in that niche.
But that's the interesting thing, because all that SME stuff, usually it's public banks who always will show very, very strong growth for the SMEs, because that's their specialty, right? You know, Ah Chong, who's the mechanic who
the tire man or the
who likes to eat
whatever.
at this particular char kway teow stall. So it's good to see that Alliance is growing on that, because I think that's where you should do if you're a bank. CIMB saw the return of their prodigal son. Which I don't know how much that helped in terms
Nazir
of
or Zafro?
both parts. They can be both, right?
Yeah.
So, but they still had, well, it kept pace with expectations. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
Yeah. So Alliance Financial, MIDF is cool on the stock. They call it a neutral. They've upped the target price to $4 from $3.85. So we'll wait and see what's happening there. Where CIMB is concerned, MIDF was a maintained buy. They reckon it's a good call. Target price $5.50. I think CIMB is around about $4.15, $4.30 now. So that's quite some upside if you believe all that. But the interesting thing is AMB Holdings, because ANZ of Australia want to sell their 24% in the stock. And Tan Sri Asman Hashim has fanned expectations that he might be the buyer. If he does so, he'll be up to 37%. Which triggers an MGO.
Yeah, exactly. And what does that mean after that? Of course, he could, most people have sometimes triggered the MGO given a kind of half-arse offer and just let it lapse, right? And then you figure out how to kind of pair your stake. We don't know what his plans are for. I mean, he's a icon in banking. What's his plans? But he's getting on in years.
Correct. If he buys that stake, he's not going to hold it on forever. He doesn't have kids in the stock. He's going to fork out something like 2 billion ringgit, and he might have to. He will have to team up with someone.
Yeah.
Texas Pacific is in the fray. They might do it together.
Interesting.
Okay. Let's trot along to the week ahead.
Yep.
It's still earnings season. Nadia, Monday, Media Chinese International reports Q4, and then the next day they'll be holding a briefing for analysts.
It was so interesting to see, because Star had a bad quarter.
Yeah, City Neon now, because the outdoor advertising thing is leading earnings for them, not advertising clearly. I mean, we know this quite well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, given in the business itself. I don't know whether, it's poor taste to comment on your competitors, but, it's true, the numbers were just not good. And I'm really curious to see whether the trend has changed for Media Chinese. Astro Q1 is going to be interesting, because I want to see whether or not all the changes they've done, the Astro on demand, the shopping and everything, whether that helped.
If you look at the Nielsen numbers, pay TV has been on a tear for the last many, many months. And anything print related, anything magazine related, anything paper related has been on a huge decline. All that money is going to digital, which is why we are where we are, right?
Yes, of course.
Tuesday as well sees Astro Q1 and conference call, as well as money supply. But the big data in terms of the June 14 and 15 FOMC meeting, which will dictate whether the Federal Reserve raises interest rates for the second time in 6 months, will be anchored by data. And data is where the Americans are. Tuesday is April personal income.
Friday, bigger thing is
non-farm payrolls.
Very big indicator. But that's all for us for this week, aren't we, wrapping
That's right. If you want to get more of Nadia, especially, and ourselves at The Edge, go to The Edge Weekly, which is in print form, as well as The Edge Financial, just as we're talking about print, Nadia.
Exactly.
As well as The Edge Financial Daily. You can find them on all good newsstands nationwide. Thank you for watching. Happy trading and good luck.